There are dogs, and there are border collies. Collies are the black and white dogs you've probably seen herding sheep. They also herd cattle. In fact, they'll herd almost anything. Some authorities say the word collie comes from Scots Gaelic and means useful, though Gaelic scholars don't confirm this. Whatever the linguistic origin, there is no doubt that the collie has probably been the most useful dog in the history of agriculture in this country. And if it wasn't for this dog, you and I might not be here. Or at least our history would have followed a very different path from the one that got us to where we are today. From the earliest times, people depended on cattle and sheep for their living. Animals were seldom killed for their meat. They were too valuable. They gave you milk, butter and cheese for your food, wool and leather for your clothes. Without these basic items, you starved or froze. Without your animals, you literally just died. So looking after your animals and working with them was essential to your survival. But working with them was not without its problems. They could run away from you. They could be attacked by predators or stolen, or they could attack you. Cattle may be docile animals, but they are big, and when they rush to get at their food, it's not wise to be in the way, especially of their horns. And some have very big horns. A dog that protected you from your animals was not just useful. It could save you from injury or even death.
After a few weeks, she started working with the cattle, and we had a lot of bull beef on at the time, and she would protect me from the bulls while I was rolling the straw out, and just for that alone she'd found a place and was earning a keep.
It's very hard, if not impossible, for human beings to control sheep and cattle without the help of a useful dog. You might manage it by using your family and friends. Get your children and your neighbours to do all the running around. But it's hard enough for humans to herd a few docile ducks. Herding sheep and cattle is a totally different proposition. Those who know their animals reckon it would take at least 20 trained athletes to gather up even a small flock of sheep. Not just 20 people. They would have to be athletes to have the speed and stamina for the job. In a flat field with an enclosing fence to constrain the animals, they might just manage it. On the open hillsides, typical of farms in Scotland, Wales and much of England, it would be out of the question. Even the fittest athletes couldn't round up sheep on hillsides like this. A good herding dog will do the job in a few minutes, and do it all day and every day for years. It's reckoned that a dog working sheep on hill terrain like this can cover up to 120 miles in a day. Athletes attempting this would be crippled with arthritis before they reached middle age, if they ever reached it.
You couldn't work a high hill farm without a dog. I remember that one of the men, Robert Hamilton, that I worked for in Brie in Lanarkshire, he was lambing one half of the hill and I was lambing the other, and a dog that wouldn't work. It wouldn't do anything for him, it just sort of skittered about. And he ran down the sheep. When he had to catch a sheep, he ran it down. That must have been purgatory for him.
No wonder farmers were always looking for a useful dog. Our farming ancestors found dogs useful to them in three main ways: often summarised as barking, biting and herding. Barking dogs would alert you to the presence of predators or thieves. Almost any dog, large or small, could be a barker. Biters were dogs that would protect your flock from attacks by wolves or bears. These dogs obviously had to be big and fierce, and you can still see them at work in the mountain areas of Europe. Strong dogs and good bodyguards, they are the big bruisers of the farming world. They would take on a wolf and would give it a hard time. They're used to guard the flanks of the flock, providing protection while at the same time preventing the sheep from straying. But they're not much use for manoeuvring or herding the flock. Herding means gathering the sheep together into a group, controlling them and moving them from place to place. Barking and biting don't call for any great skill, but when it comes to herding, you need a dog that uses brain rather than brawn. Early farmers would have employed any useful herder, and almost any black or brown dog with white feet and a white tip to its tail would have been labelled a sheepdog or collie. But the shepherds of the border counties between England and Scotland developed a strain of dog which worked in a unique manner, now generally known as the eye dog. These border collies worked low to the ground, using the power of the eye to control the flock.
It is, yeah. It can maybe control a number of sheep just by eye alone, and there's a certain amount of intensity that the sheep are going to feel when the dog's focused on them in that way. Sometimes the dog can have too much eye, and that only allows the dog to lie down on one spot and stare for a very long time. It can be very irritating for a shepherd if it's got too much eye. So the correct balance of eye and flanking instinct is really quite important.
The collie's method of working with its eye caused less stress and injury to the stock than the big biters, and they were far more skillful in manoeuvring them. And this skill has been refined over centuries to produce the finest herding dog anywhere in the world. There are 4 basic skills involved in herding. Gathering means bringing the sheep towards the handler. Driving means forcing them away from the handler. Penning means getting the sheep into a gated enclosure. And shedding means taking one or more sheep out of a group. These basic herding skills can be seen in the sheepdog trials that take place regularly in farming areas throughout the country. The trial field is laid out with a starting post at one end and a pen enclosure at the other. Halfway between these are gates that the sheep have to be driven through. A group of sheep, usually 4, are first brought to the starting post. Handler and dog take up position beside the pen. Gathering begins with the dog doing an outrun to a point behind the sheep and then lifting them. That is, starting them moving down the field. A skilled herding dog will keep a good distance back from the sheep so as not to scare them, and it will keep them moving at a slow and steady pace. An untrained dog will barge in at speed and upset the sheep, then chase them up the field as if it was trying to catch and eat them, so the sheep panic and run away. Once the sheep have been successfully gathered, the drive can begin. This is a real test of the skill and training of the dog. Sheep are the dog's prey, and in the wild it would round them up and drive them towards its pack leader for the kill. Driving them away from its leader, the shepherd, goes against its natural instinct. Manoeuvring the sheep between gates is another test of skill. In trials, there are no fences at the sides of the gates, so only the dog's skill prevents the sheep from running round them rather than going through them. The same can be said about getting sheep into the pen. Sheep don't like enclosures, and persuading them into a pen can be a very difficult task. It takes a lot of cooperation between shepherd and dog to complete this task, especially if the sheep are stubborn and stand up to the dog. The last of the basic skills is shedding. In this trial, this means splitting a foursome into two pairs. Sheep flock together for safety against predators. Being separated makes them feel vulnerable, so they resist. It can take a lot of time and patience on the part of both dog and shepherd before a successful shed is achieved. Driving, penning and shedding are not behaviours that come naturally to the dogs. It takes a lot of training to teach dogs these skills. But training a sheepdog is an art in itself. It's not like teaching a dog how to sit or give you a paw. You do this by showing the dog what you want it to do and then rewarding it with a treat or a toy. But collies don't herd sheep in order to get a biscuit or a toy. Shepherds don't show collies how to herd sheep. The dog knows that far better than the shepherd ever will. Training is about getting the collie to apply its instinctive ability to herd sheep in the way you want it to. It's a process of mutual understanding and communicating effectively so that the dog understands what you want it to do. And the key to this lies in establishing the right personal relationship with your dog. For each dog has its own ways and temperament, and so does each shepherd. Once this relationship has been established, the dog will herd the way you want it to, without the need for any treats, unless you count a pat on the head as a treat. Training is about achieving a partnership with your dog which grows with the years. A well-trained dog shares the job with the shepherd.